Greetings, friends, and welcome to another ministry of the Victory Hour here on YouTube. My name is Jim Gallagher. I'm the pastor at Clavel Assembly in Forster, Rhode Island, that brings to you this YouTube channel, and welcome to it. Now, listen, my normal mode of operation is this. Usually on Saturday, I'll make Monday's posting for YouTube. I load it up ahead of time. I can't take the time at a specific time every week to make YouTube so I can do it live. It'd be fun to do, but I can't be consistent with my time just because of my schedule and it being so tight, and I have to make constant adjustments. It just doesn't work. So I have to make it ahead of time. So it's usually just a few days ahead of time. So usually like Mondays I'll make on Saturday, and then the Thursday posting I'll make on Monday, Tuesday, or sometimes even Wednesday, just the day before. And then sometimes on Saturday, I'll make both for the next week. So on Saturday, I'll make Mondays and Thursdays. So it's one of those two trajectories. That's normally what I've done. So I did the same thing this past weekend. And I had made Mondays and Tuesdays because I'm actually preparing to go away on vacation. So I had to make some ahead of time. I needed to make some ahead of time for when I'm away. You'd have those. I try to not leave you for a week, and I try not to do that when I can. So I was making some ahead, and the last posting I did was the Song of Moses in Prophecy Part 2. And so today, those that watch this as they come up, now for years from now, none of this discussion will matter, but or even weeks from now, the Song of Moses in Prophecy, I Owe You Part 3. And I already made it to air today, but I went in and moved it to Thursdays. The next posting will be the Song of Moses Part 3. What you're expecting today is going to happen next time. But I actually went into my YouTube account and changed the date to release it so I could insert this in the middle. And you know why? Because President Trump was shot. And I needed to say something. The assassination attempt on Donald Trump should be addressed. And I'm going to give you my opinions on that matter. You say, does that really matter? You're a preacher. It does, because we are living through the window of America's soul. And we're also looking at the window of the soul of the world. There is a global battle going on right now for the soul of the people of the world, but more specifically and more directly to America, because America seems to represent the last powerful bastion of resistance against globalism. Because if America goes down, well, who's going to stop them? Now, I don't know that even America by itself can stop them, but America in conjunction with some Western allies. So they're aiming at the West, but the most powerful and dangerous of them all is the United States. So we're in the crosshairs. And the whole world is in the crosshairs of these globalists, from the World Economic Forum, the IMF, the UN, all the typical globalist entities, the Council on Foreign Relations, the Trilateral Commission, and all these groups. And they're all different branches and different meeting spots and conglomerations of people that are bent on globalism, destroying national sovereignty, the redistribution of wealth, and basically international communism / fascism / globalism. They want their New World Order. They've been talking about their New World Order. It's not a conspiracy theory. George Bush, Herbert Walker Bush talked about it openly. That's way back in the day. Well, now they're going for broke. I want to, let me give you a little biblical context here. The Apostle Paul in 2 Timothy chapter 3, he says in verse 10, "But thou hast fully known my doctrine, manner of life, purpose, faith, long-suffering, charity, patience, persecutions, afflictions, which came unto me at Antioch." Paul had suffered for the cause of Christ. He has some credentials. We ought to listen to him. "Which came unto me at Antioch, at Iconium, at Lystra, what persecutions I endured. But out of them all The Lord delivered me. Yea, and all that will live godly in Christ Jesus shall suffer persecution. All that live godly in Christ Jesus shall suffer persecution. But evil men and seducers shall wax worse and worse, deceiving and being deceived. Well, we see many of those principles playing out in our own day. And these are generic principles that Paul is laying out that had particular application to his day, of course, but because they are generic human realities based on the spiritual battle that the world is engaged in because of the fall and because of man's corruption, these things are going to repeat themselves, as does history, right? I want you to think about this because, I mean, we were all watching on television Saturday night what was transpiring. We've seen the videos of President Trump getting shot and that bullet taken off the top of his ear there and the chaos that ensued. And it's going to be a long time till the truth comes out, if it ever really does fully. Well, let me paint a picture for you, okay? And I spoke about this Sunday morning. The next morning, I said, okay, this is being part of my sermon. If you want to go to clavelassembly.com and then look at the sermons, you'll see the sermon from this past Sunday. That would be July 14th, 2024. The morning service. The morning service. So I was listening to what was going on Saturday night, the night before. The next Sunday morning, I got in the pulpit, and it became a very important part of the message of that day. But I wanted to share with you just a snippet of some of the things I was talking about that morning in the context specifically of how we are to look at this shooting, in my opinion. Now, you take our current vice president, Kamala Harris. She's a disaster. We know how she got her power, and it wasn't through legitimate means back there in the days of California. Oh, yeah, she had a boyfriend, didn't she? Oh, yeah. Oh, he was plugged in, and she became famous. And so it goes. But she's a horror show, I think, as most of us would know. And during the summer of love, during the burning down of America in the summer of love, when Antifa was out in the streets and burning buildings and killing people and people walking up to white people and knocking them up on the side of the head just for fun, because, well, there's a segment of America that was angry because of George Floyd. And so there's going to be violence, and it's okay. It's just peaceful protesting, CNN says, as everything's burning in the background, right? Remember that? The summer of love, where chaos and destruction and violence and murder was legitimized by our vice president, Kamala Harris. And in that summer of love, in relation to the BLM, the Black Lives Matter violent movements, and Antifa and all the rest going on, this is what she said in an interview. And some of you remember this. This wasn't hidden. She said this. Speaking of this that was going on, she said this, quote, I quote, "This is a movement. I'm telling you, they're not going to stop. And everyone beware." Yes, as she said, everyone beware, because they're not going to stop before Election Day in November, and they're not going to stop after Election Day. Oh, no, yeah, see, we can't have Trump. So this has to happen. They're not going to stop before Election Day. They're not going to stop after Election Day. She continues, quote, and everyone should take note of that on both levels, that they're not going to let up, and they should not. And we should not. Wait a minute. They shouldn't stop what they're doing? And then the fact checker says, oh, well, she wasn't talking about the violent people. Oh, no, she was just talking about the peaceful protesters. Yeah, well, we know what CNN considers peaceful protesting. We saw the video as the guy was saying it. They're liars. And that's Kamala Harris, who, by the way, was promoting and engaged in, let's let all these people that commit these violent crimes off the hook, because if they're people of color, well, they got to go. You can't, this is, we got to make up for years of racism, so let them go. They can go back and do some more. And give them legal help and financial help. Oh, yeah. Chaos in the streets. That's what you got with this administration. Evil men and seducers shall wax worse and worse. We had George W. Bush, who was a liar and a phony conservative, and lied us into the war, and was there for 9/11. Don't let me get into 9/11. Just go look up Building 7 and watch it go down. Go to YouTube, if YouTube still has it, and type in Building 7 and watch the symmetrical collapse into its own footprint. That's all I ask you to do. Well, that was under the Bush administration. Obama. I mean, we had, before that, let's face it, Bill Clinton. Then George W. Bush, and we had Obama. Who wanted to fundamentally change America. Well, he's getting his way. Trump came in and put the brakes on. And then what happened that last time around when Biden got in, because it was the most secure election ever in the history of elections. Just the fact that they said that. When the ink wasn't even dry on the ballots, just goes to show you, well, they're probably lying. I mean, how stupid do they think we are? They think we're very stupid. Yes, they do. Kamala Harris says they shouldn't stop. They shouldn't let up. That's your vice president. So they justify violence. Now go back to the days of when Donald Trump was the president of the United States. Remember those years? So you go back 5 years or so, something like that. When he's in the thick of it. And you had people like Johnny Depp. And Johnny Depp says, when was the last time that an actor assassinated a president? And all his fans, yay, man. The clear implication is Trump should die. The president of the United States should be killed. It's Johnny Depp. Snoop Dogg has this little video, takes out a gun, points it at Trump's head, pulls the trigger. They say, oh, yeah, but no bullet came out. It was just like a spoof. Yeah, one of those little projectiles come out, a little pole comes out of the end of the gun with a flag that hangs down that says bang. Yeah, we got the idea. We got the idea, Snoopy. Madonna says, I want to blow up the White House. There she is outside the White House. I want to blow up the White House. Madonna. Yeah, Madonna for president. How about that? George Lopez. He tweeted out a cartoon. And it was a cartoon of Vicente Fox holding up a decapitated head of President Bush, which brings you to Kathy Griffin when she was doing the same thing, holding up a decapitated head, all bloody, looking all angry. Like, I remember Shakespeare in the Park in New York. They did a play, Julius Caesar, but it was updated to modern times. So Julius Caesar was Donald Trump, right? Got the red tie, the dark suit, and the orange hair. And how's that end out in that play? Well, let's face it, it's Julius Caesar. So everybody surrounds Donald Trump and they start stabbing him. Oh, and all the media in New York say, "Whoa, what a wonderful, excellent play." You do see where the push for violence isn't coming from right-wing white America. Oh yeah, that happens all the time. It's coming from the left. They're promoting it. They want it. That's my opinion. What do you think they're doing this for? David Aronovich is a BBC presenter. And as a BBC, this is the BBC now, over in England, and as a top BBC presenter, this is what he said. He said, quote, "If I was Biden, I'd hurry up and have Trump murdered on the basis that he is a threat to American security. Hashtag SCOTUS." He's obviously referring to the recent Supreme Court, because now, fast forwarding up to now, well, the Supreme Court just talked about presidential immunity for acts done officially as president. And all the left went bonkers. And they said, well, what that decision does, it gives the president permission, as long as he's acting officially, to do anything he wants, including murdering his political opposition. Yep, that's what they're saying the decision does. Oh, yeah, that's what it does. That's why in the review of their decision, the Supreme Court wrote, I can't remember John Roberts writing for it, but whoever was writing for it said, no, this does not mean that. I mean, right in the decision. If I was Biden, I'd hurry up and have Trump murdered on the basis that he is a threat to American society, because he'd be acting under his official capacity as the commander-in-chief. So he'd get the military to do it, and then they can't prosecute him after. Too bad. Because that's what this Supreme Court system does. So, and then all sorts of people came out online saying, yeah, you should murder Trump. Biden should get SEAL Team 6 and murder Trump. It was all over the internet. You know what I'm talking about. Now, I may get censored for saying it. I'm not saying that to murder Trump. The people that say murder him don't get censored. For me pointing out that they say it, maybe I will be censored. I hope you hear this. I hope you see this. There's been politicians, a whole bunch of media outlets and talking heads from all over the spectrum complaining about the Supreme Court decision. I saw the Huffington Post in an article on July 1st, the Huffington Post. The title of their article was, quote, Supreme Court gives Joe Biden the legal okay to assassinate Donald Trump. Huffington Post. That's the headline of the article. And they've been saying about Trump from everywhere. Politicians, commentators, media. He's Hitler. Adolf Hitler. He's Hitler. He's Adolf Hitler. He's Hitler. He's Adolf Hitler. And we can't have Hitler. Someone kill him. Supreme Court says we can. This is all coming from the left. Where do you see the right talking that way? I mean, they shot Steve Scalise. And by the way, I'm not a fan of the Republicans. Most of them are vast, massive sellouts who are faking being conservative, faking being constitutional. Almost nobody up there is constitutional. They just boast of it, for the ones that do boast. And then 5 days before President Trump was shot, 5 days before he was shot, that Monday, the Monday before the Saturday he was shot at that rally in Pennsylvania, Biden, along with many others from the media, had been saying that Trump was a threat to democracy, a clear and present danger. By the way, that's been going on for a long time. that's been going on for years, that Trump is a clear and present danger, which is a technical legal term that would give the government the permission to bypass all its restraints of law and give the executive the power to do what he's got to do to stop a clear and present danger, and the Constitution gets suspended because it's a threat to America's security. So what does this mean, that Trump is a clear and present danger? Is that justification for his elimination? Well, you can only imagine now in some people's mind that's exactly what they would think. And then people are coming out and saying, yeah, you should kill him. The Supreme Court gave you permission. Not that you could, but you should. So 5 days before President Trump was shot, on that Saturday, on Monday of the same week, President Biden comes out and says, quote, it's time to put Trump in a bullseye, end quote. I said to the Lord's people at Clayville, President Biden did not say it's time to put Trump in the bullseye. When you say the bullseye, it's like one that we all recognize, instead of an individual's bullseye that is at the end of his scope attached to his gun. When you say we got to put him in the bullseye, the political bullseye, and we got to go after him with arguments against his positions. Oh, no. He says it's time to put Trump in a bullseye, like it's whatever bullseye, a bullseye. Now, maybe Biden didn't mean it that way, but he did say it's time to put Trump in a bullseye. Remember when they found out that on Sarah Palin's website, I don't know if it showed a picture of Congress or something, and then it showed like it was in a bullseye. And she was saying, we got to get down to business and argue with these people and stop being so soft and push our points. And she's talking about a political bullseye through argumentation. And all the media went nuts, as if to say, she's calling for violence. Like we all knew that's not what she was doing. But it was all over, you know. She better bow down and kiss the ring. Well, have they done that with President Biden, who said, now, you know, all the vitriol out there, which has been promoted by our president against Trump, he's a clear and present danger. He's sick. He's demented. Remember the debate where Biden was like, oh, yeah, you're sick, or whatever he said. You know, it's just horrible to see. But that clear and present danger, he's a threat to democracy. If that's true, then extraordinary means can be used to stop him. And then 5 days later, he's shot in the side of the head. Thank God, that bullet only went through his ear. And then the media immediately began to downplay it. They began to downplay it. USA Today put out an article. And the article is entitled in USA Today, Trump removed from stage by Secret Service after loud noises startled former president, crowd. Now get this. That's the title of the article from USA Today after the shooting. And next to the title of the article is a picture of Trump with the Secret Service all around him with his hand up and there's blood streaming down his face. And with that picture there, the title of the article is Trump removed from stage by Secret Service after loud noises startle former president, and crowd. Oh, they heard loud noises, they got scared, so they had to take him away. Oh, the poor old man, and there's blood streaming down his face. That's USA Today. They're trying to downplay it. They want you to get out of that zone. It's fake media. It's government media. And then the left started coming out. It's a false flag operation. Oh, our government is used to false flags. But that was not a false flag operation. He got shot with a bullet through his ear. Yeah, I think, okay, I want to make myself look really good. So you take a bullet and shoot it at my head and just miss my head and take my ear, part of my ear off. That's really, you think that's what happened? Really? And some were even saying it was staged. He wasn't even shot. Oh, well, it was like a wrestling movie. He went down behind the podium and he burst that little capsule that put fake blood on his ear. Yeah, Biden's Secret Service is all going to go along with that, along with the doctors of the local hospital that they shipped him to. You know, it's just crazy. It shows you the mindset out there. But after that shooting, and then Trump stood up, you know, and he did his, like, I'm still here. They haven't taken me out yet. And he says, fight, fight. He's saying, don't let them dissuade. Don't let them scare you. We've got to fight this thing. And it was, you know, the crowd, you know, they were happy. They were moved by it, and they were empowered by it. And what happened to President Trump, former President Trump, hopefully future President Trump, after this particularly? And Trump is a man that has his faults. He has some very big personal faults. Yeah, I know he's the greatest Christian that ever walked the face of the earth, but I don't believe that for 1 second. You can even remove the word greatest, and I still don't believe it. Yeah, come on. Who's kidding who? But you know, that's Trump. He's a worldly man. But he's a worldly man that seems to, in his rough shod way, want to do a lot of what is good and what is best for America. I mean, he doesn't have all his policies wrong. He is completely blind to the horror of fake Israel in the Middle East. Maybe he's not blind, but he's just playing his cards right politically. I don't know. But that's a very serious mistake on his part. No doubt about it. But Trump doesn't want the globalism. And this is the battle we're under. We can't take him and just completely throw him under the bus because of his faults. The big battle that he's obviously willing to fight is something we can stand behind. So after that, and after he rose up and shows, I still got my fight, as that old man does. He's not so old. He doesn't look so old in that whole scenario, does he? So after that, no doubt the American people say, enough with the lawfare. Enough of the lying, the Russian, he was a Russian asset, and all these lies for 4 years of his presidency. He had to go through all these lies to come to find out they're all lying. Then they just set it aside. Well, they're going to bring it back again. Well, Russia's trying to make Trump become president again. Yeah, right. But after what happened on Saturday, I mean, all sorts of people on the fence are going to go to Trump's camp, and there'll be many that were firmly in the camp of being a liberal. But even this will be too much. They say, you know what, I'm tired. I'm putting up with a lot of lies from my own side. I can't take this anymore. And a lot of them, there's no way that Biden can win now and have close to even 50% of the people believe it. You can't. We're all going to know it's a big lie. Not after all this. So what's going to happen? I think we're at a very dangerous and pivotal point in our country. Either people are going to rally behind Trump and there's going to be a minority that goes berserk, but the majority will rally. That would be good. Or the majority won't rally. And someone might come along and try and finish the job they couldn't get done on Saturday. Then what? Then what? Well, you could have civil war. I don't want to see that. And the globalists they'd love for us to have civil war. We can just destroy ourselves, then they got their globalism. We'll be too busy fighting each other. They foster division amongst Americans. Look, Americans can have different opinions on different things, but they are intentionally trying to divide us. I think a lot of us can civilly live with the differences in others, but they fan the flames of, everything is racism, everything is hate speech, and all this transgenderism, the globalism, we're going to be forced to eat bugs, we can't eat meat anymore, they're destroying our ability to have private property, they have the Inflation Reduction Act, which is just meant to massively increase inflation so that we go in debt, and then we have to go begging to the government to give us our food, even if it's just going to be little squares of fly larvae. Maggots. You say, Pastor, what are you talking about? Well, I've talked about that. I'm not going to talk about it now. I think President Trump is in danger. But to come back and have someone shoot him again, they could make it like, oh, he was some crazy guy, set him up, But I think it would be a safer play for them to do something like, let's really make sure we do something, some sort of false flag operation to get World War III going. Let it be nuclear, and then we got to suspend the election. I mean, we're in the middle of a massive global war with nukes. We can't be now taking time running, like what happened in Ukraine. Oh, we're at war. We can't have elections. Ukraine, our good buddies. Yeah, they're one of the dirtiest countries in the face of the earth. Most morally compromised, corrupt. This is why the Bidens were hooked into them. They may release false flag terrorist events in the United States to bring chaos, and we can put off the elections. They'll do something. They don't want this man to be president. And in spite of all of Trump's faults, and he has plenty of faults, at this point in the game, I can't see not wanting to back him as a finger in the eye of the globalists saying no. It would be a message. We are not going to have your anti-constitutional, anti-Christian, anti-human, transhuman, transgendered communist revolution that you want to force down everybody's throat. I'm sorry, I may be ranting, but I feel pretty strongly about it. Yea, and all that will live godly in Christ Jesus shall suffer persecution. But evil men and seducers shall wax worse and worse, deceiving and being deceived. That's where we're at. Was this gunman, this 20-year-old, if you've seen the aerial shot, that building that he was on, the roof, the local authorities said it was 125 yards away. And then some saying 150 yards. Let's not split hairs. 125, 150 yards. That's not a difficult shot for a long rifle laying on a roof to hit a human target. And if you see an aerial shot of where the president was standing, the little group of people behind him, the massive crowd in front of him, then the three little buildings behind him where the Secret Service was posted with their sharpshooters, and everything is mowed grass, wide open, field like. And then there's just one cluster of buildings over to Trump's right, to the audience's left, that was only 150 yards away or 125 yards away. An easy kill shot. And it was a direct shot to hit him on the side of the head, like straight on, not coming through the crowd, but from the side. And some young 20-year-old dweeb goes walking across the grass with a big long ladder and a long assault rifle, takes the ladder, leans it up on the roof, climbs up onto the roof with his gun. People down on the ground see him. They say, hey, it's a guy over here. And they go around telling the cops, there's a guy up there. Look, he's got a gun. We can see him. And he's like, bear crawling. That one guy giving the testimony. Yeah, he was bear crawling up the roof with his gun. And I was trying to notify the authorities. And everybody's pointing. And, the Secret Service seems to be clueless. But it seems as though the sharpshooter behind Trump for the Secret Service had his gun aimed on him. I guess he pulled the trigger too late. Or did he not have the go-ahead to pull the trigger until he pulled it? I don't know. So there's all these investigations because there's no way. In fact, I was going to read to you some articles. I might do part 2 of this. And then we'll get back to our eschatology and the Song of Moses. I'm sorry. I got to do a part 2 because I wanted to read to you. Oh, Pastor Gallagher, conspiracy theory. Okay. I'll read to you from CNN. How's that? And by the way, the least trusted source of news, not the most trusted. But a lot of people think, CNN, that's a legitimate news organization. I don't believe that for 1 second. But I'll tell you what, if you believe that's a established, trusted news, then let me read from them. Can I do that? Can I do that on YouTube? Can I offer my opinions? Can I read from CNN? I'll do that next time. And then when we're done, next week, we'll go back to the subject of the Song of Moses in prophecy, I promise you. So one more day of this, because I forgot I had to read those. But you can't look at the layout and to think that shooter got up on the roof. 150 feet away, the only other place, other than the roof that they were on, the only other place where you had a nice clear shot from an elevated position were those buildings, only 150 yards. And they had no Secret Service on that roof making sure it was clear, or at least eyes on it. I don't believe that. And they still haven't released the information on the assassination of John F. Kennedy. Why is that? I've got to go. Jim Gallagher, reminding you in the words of our blessed Lord and Savior, "You shall know the truth. The truth shall make you free."